Good evening to those who listen. It is February 19th, 2026, 11:40 p.m. I just want to tell you about my dream that I had, and it was pretty crazy. And I think I can interpret it pretty good. So, I'm just showing you this. This is the Bible changes, template, list. And so here we go. I'm just going to kind of leave it here and just kind of go through it a little. I'm not going to go through that, but I'm going to tell you my dream. And there's verses here that have changed in the Bible. This is mainly the King James Version, so just take that into account. So I'm at this big mall. This is the dream. I was in this big mall, and then they had like a restaurant, like a buffet style restaurant inside the mall. And it was huge. It had two big rooms where hundreds, well, I shouldn't say hundreds, but probably 100 people could easily get into. And there was a lot of people in there. And I'm going up to get my plate. And if you know those, I don't know what they're called. They're like where they hold the plates, and it's like has a spring-loaded thing. And then when you pull a plate up, the next plate comes up. It's like they put a whole bunch of plates all in, and then you take a plate out, and next plate comes up, right? So then it's really strange. So I'm in one of the rooms, and I take a plate out, and it's got a whole bunch of old food on it, like somebody else ate and left it there. But then I started going through the plates, and it's like every plate that I brought up had old food on it. So I went to the staff and I said, "Hey, is there any clean plates?" And they said, "Well, try the other room." So I went into the other room, and same thing, picking up plates, and each plate had food on it. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I went back and I said, there's old food on these plates. I do not want to eat, I don't want to put food on top of old food. Ugh. So I said, "Can you get the manager?" Manager comes out, and I tell the manager the situation, and they said, "Okay, hold on, we'll get some clean plates." So then they bring out some more plates. These plates, at least they didn't have as much food on them, but they still had food residue. So it was cleaner, but it still had food on it. And I'm like, what is going on? I said, "I'm really super hungry. I want to eat, but there's no clean plates here." And meanwhile, everybody else that's taking a plate either doesn't notice, which I don't see how anybody could not notice, or they didn't care. So I'm like, what in the world? Everybody else is just grabbing plates and putting new food on old food. And I'm like, bleh. It was yucky. So I said, "I want my money back. I'm not eating new food on old food." It was crazy. So then I got my money back, and then I kind of went out of the area back into the mall area a little bit, but I was right at the edge of it. And then I went back in, and I looked at the trays. So they had plastic trays, and the plastic trays were dirty too. And I got mad, and I whipped it across the room, and it hit a table, and it hit somebody was sitting on a table and hit one of their tables, and it didn't hit them, but it hit like their table and maybe their plates or something. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." So, and that was pretty much it. So I thought that was really crazy. So the interpretation could be the Bible changes. There's so many Bible changes that are happening, but most people don't know or don't care, and they just gloss over it, and they make excuses for why there's a change, or they just don't care. Whatever. It's it's like that. So they're just like reading the Bible, but they're going over it. like it's not there. Like, so there's the old verses are gone, and now they're replaced with these new, dirty, corrupted verses. So maybe that's what that means. And I noticed, but nobody else seemed to notice. And that seems to be like what's going on with the Bible changes. So many people don't notice or don't care that the Bibles are changing. And now there's all these crazy verses coming out. So maybe that's that. And even after they cleaned it up, they still had residue, which is kind of weird because there's like residue of the old verses that we can find. Some of the other channels are better at that. Supernatural Bible Changes, and there's a Bible Mandela Effects, and EYA, Censored Supernatural Bible Changes. There's some other channels out there that show what used to be the verses. And we're not only having verses changing, words changing out of the Bible, we're also having verses deleted out of the Bible, which is going to be really hard to remember. So, but anyway, I'm just putting kind of this out there. So yeah, is there anything else I want to say about the dream? I just couldn't believe it. Just everybody just kept coming up and grabbing a plate, and it had food all over it, old food. Ugh. So I'm thinking, everybody's just glossing over the Bible and putting new words over the old words, and not caring, or they're reading words, the new words that are in the Bible, and not caring. And it's very important that we know that there's changes in the Bible. It's corrupted, and we need to know what's going on. I don't want to be reading corrupted verses out of the Bible, and especially I don't want to be reading corrupted verses and believing that that's the way it's always been when I know it hasn't. So I do a lot of Bible change videos, and I'm starting to put them with more shocking titles. So it's like, whoa, instead of just putting the verses there, because a lot of people might just not even look at it. But if I put something like I did, the God has another father. Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers. Making something where people might see it more. Jesus had them bring him a penny when it used to be denarius. So we know that Abraham Lincoln was not back in Jesus' day, but people just don't seem to care that it's changed to a penny now. And he that spareth his rod, that don't sound right. Thanks for watching. God bless.